Top on the brief this morning is the updates on the flood disaster that ravaged Maiduguri, metropolis, killing residents, displacing others and destroying property as the state government pegs those affected at about 1 million persons. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulums gave the insight while donating cash and food items to displaced persons taking refuge at the Bakassi IDP camp along Biu. He also confirms the receipt of 3 billion naira from the federal government to aid in addressing the challenge of flood in the area.
So far, so good. We have mobilized cooks, and they have started cooking food in this camp. So these are immediate palliative measures that will cushion their immediate effect. So this morning, what we are here is to distribute the sum of 10,000 naira to each and every heads of household that are affected by floods. And I also want to inform you that a few days ago, luckily enough, we received 3 billion naira from the federal government as flood intervention fund. So we are using this fund to support the communities that are affected by the flood. The water that we received this year exceeds the carrying capacity of the dam. We have a very heavy storm. It might be associated with climate change. That's the most important thing. So what we need to do is to now reinforce the dam, reconstruct the dam, expand the capacity of the dam, and most importantly, defilt the drains. Because most of the waterways were occupied by human beings. If you can remember a few years ago when I was sworn in as the governor of Borno State, I followed all this route and I asked people to bucket on the waterways. But unfortunately, people don't heed to our own advice.
Very, very concerning and disturbing sight from Maiduguri, Borno State. But we hope that the intervention will go a long way to address the challenges. Let's move on now. But still staying in Borno State, the federal government is in search of about 286 inmates who reportedly escaped from the Maiduguri Medium Security Custodial Center following severe flooding in the city. However, the Minister of Interior, Mr. Olubimutunji, has also visited Maiduguri to assess the flood impact on the facility. A statement from the spokesperson of the service, Mr. Umar Bubakar, disclosed that the federal government is working to evacuate the correctional center and assures that the service is working with sister security agencies to take necessary measures to ensure public safety. Let's move on now from there to tell you that the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, says the commission is also set, or is all set for the Saturday's governorship election in Edo State. That's next week. At the stakeholders meeting in Benin City, he says the sensitive materials are ready and will be deployed next week to the central bank, highlighting how 2.6 million people have registered to vote for this election.
The stakeholders meeting of this nature is convened on the eve of major off-cycle governorship elections, jointly addressed by the INEC chairman and the Inspector General of Police. For me in particular, this is the third time I'm addressing stakeholders on the eve of governorship election in Edo State. I was here in 2016, I was here in 2020, and by God's grace, I'm here today. The purpose of this interactive meeting is to brief political parties and candidates, as well as accredited election observers, the media, and other stakeholders on the preparations for the election. In particular, the Inspector General of Police will address us on security preparations, while I will address you on electoral preparations. And together, we will respond to issues and concerns you may wish to raise.
Well, on his part, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetoko, assures on the readiness of the force to ensure peaceful election by deploying massively in synergy with sister agencies. He warned that what he called the quasi-security outfits and non-security state security actors, or non-state actors, I should say, should stay off and remain banned during the elections.
I urge you to adhere strictly to the rules and respect the electoral process. Let us collectively foster an environment that upholds democratic values and honors the will of our people. I assure the residents of Edo State that we are fully prepared to safeguard your safety and security throughout this electoral process. Your right to vote is sacred, and we will protect it. I encourage you to come out in large numbers to exercise your right, confident that our extensive deployment is intended to ensure your safety and integrity of the election. I take this opportunity to warn all potential troublemakers contemplating destructive actions to abandon such intentions. The security forces will not tolerate any form of political thuggery, violence, or hooliganism. Any attempt to undermine the electoral process will be met with swift and decisive action.
We're not done with Edo State. Today's signing of the peace accord may be in jeopardy as Governor Obaseki has hinted that the People's Democratic Party might not append its signature to the peace accord for political parties involved in the September 21st governorship election in that state. Mr. Obaseki, who bared his mind to the chairman of the National Peace Committee, General Abdulsalam Abubakar, retired during a courtesy visit at the government house, queried the safety of the PDP. He alleged that over 60 warrants have been secured for the arrest of PDP leaders in the state. General Abubakar said he was in town to ensure that the political parties in the state commit to peaceful polls.
So, Excellency, the purpose of the Peace Committee coming to Edo State is, I'm sure you must be aware, there is going to be a signing of peace accord between the gubernatorial candidates and the parties. That is to ensure that there is no mudslinging during the campaign, and then we accept the results as long as it is free and fair. And also, if there is any misgivings, the court should be there, but by time.
Staying with Edo politics, the Court of Appeals sitting in Abuja has dismissed an appeal filed by Mr. Kenneth Imasogbon seeking to disqualify Mr. Olumide Akpata as the governorship candidate of the Labour Party for next week's election. In the lead judgment delivered by Justice Okonabang, the appellate court held that among others, that Mr. Imasogbon failed to explore intra-conflict resolution mechanism of the Labour Party before rushing to the court. The court also held that his case was premature in law and cannot be entertained on the grounds that conditions precedent were not met. The unanimous judgment of the three-man panel of justices also held that Mr. Imasogbon failed to tender the disputed results of the February 23 primary election of the party, which he claimed to have won. And away from Edo politics, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, says the military is prepared to secure and boost oil production, a commitment shared by the Rivers State government during a custom visit to Governor Siminalayi Fubara at the government house in Port Harcourt. General Mustafa announced the creation of two key committees, the Defense Joint Monitoring Team and the Defense Joint Intelligence Infusion Center, to actualize that goal. Governor Fubara, in his response, says his administration is ready to fight against oil theft. He notes the successes recorded and achieved under his leadership and welcomed the federal government increased involvement in the Niger Delta through the newly constituted teams. In the world of business, Nigeria has recorded a trade surplus of 6.95 trillion naira in the second quarter of 2024, reflecting the country's strong export performance amidst a slight decline in overall merchandise trade. This surplus marks a 6.60% increase from the previous quarter, which recorded a surplus of 6.52 trillion naira. In a foreign goods statistics for Q2 2024 by the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's total merchandise trade in Q2 2024 stood at 31.89 trillion naira, representing 3.76% decline compared to the preceding quarter, that's 2024 first quarter, but marking a 150.39% rise from the corresponding period in 2023. Q2 2024 trade surplus was driven mostly by crude oil export, accounting for over 70% of the second quarter posting. And outside our shores, satellite imagery has allegedly sighted a Russian cargo ship suspected of carrying Iranian ballistic missiles from Moscow's war against Ukraine. It was seen at a Russian port on the Caspian Sea a week ago. The vessel, the Port Olia 3, was identified by satellite imagery taken on September the 4th at Port Olia in Astrakhan. The ship had previously been in the Iranian port of Amirabad on August the 29th, according to the ship tracking data. It turned off its transponder at some point after, and the U.S. Treasury Department assessed the Russian Ministry of Defense had used the vessel, that's Port Olia 3, to transport CRBMs from Iran to Russia. In sports news, let's highlight some explainers from the FIFA window, where the Netherlands manager Ronald Koeman says he removed Matthias de Ligt at halftime during a 2-2 draw with Germany to protect Manchester United defender. De Ligt had a poor outing against Bosnia and as a governor prior to Tuesday's match, using an expletive to describe his performance in the Nations League. The Netherlands defender then somehow handed Germany a route back. So a route back to the game with a misplaced pass where they were held up to a 1-0 up. Well, those are the stories we've been tracking for you, say, in the last 24 hours. Will form part of our conversation for the day, and some we've already highlighted at the beginning of the program.